Hari Om. What is the difference between thoughts and thinking? चित्तमूलो विकल्पोऽयं चित्त अभावेन घर्षणः अधश्चित्तं समाधेहि प्रत्यग्रूपे परात्मनि. This world is experienced due to the mental modifications. When the mind is stilled, the practice of Mahayoga, then this mental modifications or the objective world will cease to cause any kind of issues to us. We will be free from the psychological suffering. Chittam siridasaya samsaram. Chittinale nishalamai nirka mukti. Chitte chalati samsaro nishale moksha evatu. Vikunta manaseti vaikuntaha. Remaining without any thoughts, or rather not identifying with any thoughts, is the state of being in Vaikunta, the kingdom of God or heaven, whatever it is. When the mind moves even a little, it causes us samsara. When the mind is still, by keeping our attention on the presence of Bhagavan, the pure awareness, then it is the state of moksha, liberation. Thoughts are spontaneous movement in the mind. They are the vrittis which are neutral modifications of the mind. It is not within our choice or any control that we can have a particular thought or not. They arise due to our inherent vasanas, the inclinations, tendencies. But to take it further, to react to a thought which causes us the thinking, this is within our control. To react or not to a particular thought is within our control. So basically, thoughts happen automatically without any choice. They happen spontaneously. Thinking happens due to conscious engagement with these thoughts, by showing interest, by following these thoughts and then reacting to these thoughts positively or negatively, by showing interest and affiliation to these thoughts. Thinking happens. So it is within our control to have this thinking or not. Thoughts happen without our control. We don't have any control. But to take it further into thinking or not is within our control. It is this thinking which causes the rising of the ego in terms of identification as I and mine. Taking ownership of these thoughts and then taking it further into a chain of thinking process. It is a kind of cyclic process. Thinking creates the ego, and ego in turn creates further thinking by identification as I and mine. This is mine, these thoughts are mine, and I want these things to happen, I want these things should not happen, I like this, I don't like this, these things make me happier, these things gives me sadness. So all this kind of thinking is due to identification, and this identification causes further thinking, and thinking causes the rising of the ego as well. So what we do with the practice of Mahayoga is stop identifying with thoughts by keeping our attention on the presence of Bhagavan, the pure awareness. the I am, aham, the pure being. So it's basically cessation of identification with the thoughts. We don't basically try to control thoughts or still the mind, but the stilling of the mind happens automatically when we stop identifying with thoughts and instead keep our focus and attention on the presence of Bhagavan within. So this is basically what we call as the cessation of identification with thoughts. So with this practice of Mahayoga, naturally we all the time can remain in the presence of Bhagavan, the pure awareness within. Thereby we will not identify with these thoughts, rising thoughts, and we shall allow it to arise and pass off by itself, since we don't pay any attention to these thoughts. So it is the attention which we give to thoughts and then reacting to these thoughts which forms further thinking. So when we keep our attention on the presence of Bhagavan within, then this thinking process will not happen, and we will naturally remain in the presence or the pure awareness, the presence of Bhagavan within. Of course, we need to understand that the normal thinking which we need for our day-to-day activities will happen. We will go through those processes of thinking. Even for our practice, we need to reflect on the truth. We need to reflect on the teachings of Bhagavan. So this reflection also happens with the thinking. So thinking also is a helpful tool in terms of going further with the practice of Mahayoga. At the same time, it is a hindrance and it causes ego to flourish when the same thinking happens with the attachment towards worldly objects, thoughts. So this we need to understand the difference. Thoughts, they happen without our control, but to take it further into thinking process is within our control. We can stop it. Thinking, when they happen, it causes the rising of the ego, and ego in turn causes further thinking with the identification as I and mine. So to put an end to all these things, the easiest and the straightforward approach will be the practice of Mahayoga, wherein we keep our attention on the presence of Bhagavan within and are always vigilant, watchful, with great focus within. So any unwanted thoughts or the thinking process, when they arise, we will immediately watch it, and the moment we watch it, naturally our attention will be on the source of these thoughts, which is the presence of Bhagavan, and these thoughts will go away, the thinking process will stop, and our attention will be again on the presence of Bhagavan. So any kind of vibration in terms of this thinking process, immediately we will take note of it, and our focus or the attention will be on the presence of Bhagavan, the pure awareness within, and this thinking process will get halted. We won't further react in that line of thinking. So this is the way to remain in the presence of Bhagavan, which is basically to avoid reacting to these thoughts by keeping our attention only on the presence of Bhagavan. Thereby we achieve cessation of identification with thoughts. Thereby unwanted thinking will not happen. So the ego will not cause us any problem, as they will not arise most of the time. Thereby we can be in the presence of Bhagavan as much possible, and in due course of time we will naturally remain in the presence of Bhagavan, even while engaging in the worldly activities, wherein we will make use of thinking as and when it is necessary, and once its role or the requirement is done, we will again revert back to the presence of Bhagavan. Thereby the ego will not cause us any psychological or any other issues in our life, and we can always remain in the presence of Bhagavan. Arunachala Shiva.